Great seeing you for Devos. Okay, all this week in our family series, we're talking about making memories. Well, I wanted to take it a step further of that. Not only do we want to have memories with our family and our children, but also we want to have spiritual memories. Now, first thing I want you to notice here is this: memories of overcoming tragedy. Now, some of you are going through a divorce right now. Others, you lost a loved one, or you got health issues, or you just don't know what to do in the situation you're in. I want you to have memories of the past in which you overcame a tragedy. Maybe your mom died, your dad, or maybe you overcome an illness, or you never thought you were going to get into that school, whatever it may be, but you overcame it. You want to memorize it. You want to freeze it in your mind that you could repeat that. Stories come from trials, testings, struggles, and sometimes heartache. You know, I've been here a really long time, and every so often I'll have somebody come up to me and they'll say, wow, you know, I just love hearing these stories you have. Okay, what they don't realize, most of those stories, notice here, they come from trials. They come from heartache. They come from suffering. Okay, but God will be glorified. And so what I've done in my own personal life is in the midst of that trial, I reinterpret what's happening, which I'll talk about. And then I make a story in my mind of what God might be doing. And I'll glorify him in the midst of the problem. And God is glorified. And he'll answer our prayers. Look at Job 29. I have never publicly read this verse before because it's kind of heartbreaking. Here's Job. Job's lost his children. I mean, they're all dead. A lot of kids are all dead. Lost everything. But he says here in verse 4, he goes, as I was in my prime, he's talking about the best part of his life, when the friendship of God was upon my tent. I mean, God was just blessing my home. When Almighty was yet with me, I could feel God's presence, he says. When my children were all around me, this is so sad. He doesn't have his kids now. He goes, oh, these were the good old days. When my steps were washed with butter. I like it. Man, everything he did just turned into gold. And the rock poured out for me streams of oil. Listen, I look on Facebook and I see some of our families on there and they're so happy and they're being prosperous. And you have that house and you got those beautiful children. Listen, hang on to that now. Memorize that. Freeze those moments in your mind. That's what Job did, because one day he didn't have that. And he's looking back in happiness over that. When you're going through a heartache, you've heard me say many times, reinterpret what you're going through. Reinterpret. You're being tested. You're being tested. The world is watching you. God is watching you. You're in a test. Oh, there's a big reward at the end if you react the right way. Okay, again, when people are going through a heartache, it's a good thing when you've come through something and you have a story, a memory that you share with someone else. And that story of your testimony of what happened encourages them to overcome. Look at Proverbs 17:22. It says, a joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. You see that? Listen, we can't live in discouragement or even the reality of the problem. We have to walk by faith. Speak the words of faith. In 1 Thessalonians 5:16, rejoice always, pray without ceasing, give thanks in all circumstances. For this is the will of God in Christ Jesus. See that? That's God's will. Do not quench the spirit. We quench the spirit when we complain. Turn your trial into a heartfelt testimony. Listen, make your experience be a testimony to the world. Get those stories all together so that you could share them. And you revisit them in your mind. God did it back then, and he will do it again in the situation you're in right now. And I hope that you apply that to whatever situation you're in right now at this moment.